Guys, good morning. Happy Easter to everybody. It's Daryl here. It's not even 4 a.m. here on Easter morning here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Uh, I want to talk about this pandemic, the COVID virus, and the underground of society, the unseen, the black market, whatever you want to call it, addiction, the sex trade, all of this. I think as this pandemic starts to ebb, or sooner or later, somebody's going to realize what I'm going to talk about today, and they're going to realize that it's going to be a part of this pandemic that they're going to need to focus on. All right, drug addiction. Drug addiction doesn't stop just because of this pandemic. I was a drug addict. I used up to 15 bags of heroin just to get straight every single day for years. And then I would go out in the afternoon and buy crack cocaine, drink. I was a hardcore drug addict. This won't stop. Believe me. The to get where I am today, very few people. The statistics I've heard are maybe 2 out of 35 people will make it to where I am right now, or less. To 13 years clean, probably 1 out of 50. Okay, so there's still a lot of drug interaction going on during this pandemic. Now, when this stimulus comes out, for people with the disease of addiction, this money is going to go straight for drugs. Guaranteed. Okay, no matter if the rent's due, if there's no food in the cupboard, this money's going to go straight for drugs. Okay, there are still drug dealers out there. I remember buying from drug dealers wearing masks and gloves back during the AIDS days. I remember them wearing gloves because they didn't want the crack to seep into their skin, because they had been pre-arrested, they were on probation, they get drug tested. They're used to wearing masks and gloves. These drug dealers, the money is to a level that most people can't. We're talking $10,000 a day profit. Okay, it's not going to stop. I can't talk about the highest levels. I got an idea of how it works, but I don't want to talk about that today or ever. What I'm talking about is what's going on with families here in society, in little towns all around this country. Okay? This addiction's still going on. Believe me, it's still going on. And family members don't want, my mom, my sister, my family didn't want to, they knew, but you can't deal with it on a daily basis. You turn a blind eye to it. When I would tell them that I got to run down to the store, I got to fix my tire, or whatever, I got to go to the doctor, I got to do this, I became such a good liar and manipulator, but they had been lied to so many times in the back of their head. They knew I was lying, but they needed to believe it. They couldn't deal with it anymore, and that's still going on today. So what you have here is addicts on a daily basis going and leaving their homes and going usually into the more city areas, the more urban areas, the low income areas, the areas where there is more of the pandemic prevalent. Chances are these addicts are not wearing gloves. When your addiction's calling, you do not have time or the mindset to find gloves, to find a mask, okay? These people more than likely are not protecting themselves. They're going down to fix their addiction, okay? And their first primary goal, when I went to bed at night, when I woke up in the morning, the first thing I thought about before I fell asleep, first thing I thought about when I woke up, how am I going to get my drugs today? And I was a successful person. I'm a smart guy. I worked in an architectural firm. Doesn't matter. This is still going on. There's also the sex trade. When you addiction, you're going to go through all your money, and pretty soon all you got left to sell is yourself. This happens a lot more than anybody's going to admit, anybody's going to tell you. It happens almost as much as drug addiction itself. It happens in every single town across this country where a girl, a guy will need money. And they'll know somebody. They'll know somebody, maybe even a family member, who knows. They'll give them a few bucks for a little favor, doing something nice for them. Something nice for them. This happens. This happens every day in towns all across this country. It's not a prostitute standing on a corner wearing a little mini skirt going, hey there, you looking for a good time? No, it's not that. I know. I was one of those guys that got caught up in that. At 14, after I lost my father, I came across a predator found me. It happens. The point I'm getting at here is this is all still going on. Those predators are still active right now. They still need that sexual fix. The addicts are still going down to the cities. You see where I'm going with this? Then these addicts, these people, and they are people, go back to their homes at night after they've taken care of their addiction. And they're going to be around their family members. They are going to be around their family members because that's where they're getting the money. The older people have Social Security, retirement funds. That's where these people are going to get the money. So they're going, and they're not going to have homes of their own. They're going to go back to their homes with stable family members. They're going to bring this pandemic back to their family members. It's going to spread to the predators and the predators' families. And this is stuff people don't talk about. This is stuff people don't even want to know about. Even after I make this video, people are going to say, that's bullshit. No, it's going on right now. It's going on right now. It's going on in every single town across this country right now. But you see where I'm going with this. These addicts, homeless people, are going to become the unseen layer of this pandemic, bringing it back to unsuspecting people and their families. A lot of times they're going to go back to their families at night for their home, their housing, their food, their money, the money. They need the money. They're going to go back to these places and they're going to carry this pandemic back and forth from the places where it's most popular. You see what I'm saying here? Every day these addicts are going to go into the hot spots and then spread back out like a web, all back out, back to their families all across the suburbs, carrying this to people that have no idea what's going to come walking into their house. Their family members are going to think, look, he just ran down to the supermarket. He came back with a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread and a full tank of gas. That's all he did. No, that's not all he did. He took 15 minutes to call his dealer and get 5 bags of heroin. And he took 20 minutes to go get some money from some scumbag predator. It's happening. It's happening every day across this country. We're going to need to focus on that. This occurred to me about 3 weeks ago. I started to think about where I would be right now if I hadn't gotten clean 13 and a half years ago. And I realized this pandemic, nothing stops an addiction. Nothing stops an addiction. Death is not a deterrent for an addict. Once you've gotten to that level of addiction, death is all in the back of your head. You want to die. You do, because you're in a waking hell. And in the back of your head, that possession of drugs, that addiction is so strong. It doesn't care. It's like, good, let me get this virus. I don't care. Good, I'll be dead. I won't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. That's what I would have been thinking right now if I was still using. So don't think an addict is going to know better, because they're not. The addiction is going to overwhelm their any sense of right or wrong. Trust me. So every day across this country, this is going on. And these little pockets, these hotspots are sending out all these carriers back to all these unsuspecting families all across the country. Sooner or later, we're going to have to, this is going to occur to somebody. I think people in addiction have probably already realized this. The people that haven't realized this are going to be wondering, how is this still happening? How is this disease getting out? Because the family members are going to tell the medical workers, no, nobody in my family had it. Nobody went around anybody. He ran to the store, but they're not going to realize. It's going to take a while before people even want to acknowledge this. But I guarantee you, pretty soon it's going to become an issue. It's going to become a topic. It's as the regular society, as it starts to level off and come down, there's going to be part of society where it just keeps going strong, and they're going to wonder, how is this virus still happening? And it's probably going to be this underbelly of society, this addiction to drugs and what comes along with drugs. Something to think about. All right. You guys have a good Easter.